Test, test. This is Minusma look base. Morning.
Good morning, Minusma.
Good morning, Munisma.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I have two colleagues who are supposed to join me. So if you don't mind, if you can bear with us 5 minutes to let them time to arrive.
That's fine. No problem.
Thank you.
Good morning, this is Munich base.
Good morning, Unit base here.
Good morning.
Morning, this is Munich base. We are attending audio. Would you please send out the presentation?
I'm sorry?
We are attending audio from Munich base. We appreciate if you can send us the presentation.
Okay. The presentation is available on the Cosmos site. Do you have access to Cosmos?
Yes, we do.
So if you go to Cosmos...
Is it in MOOC 2?
Yes. So if you go to Cosmos MOOC 2, you will have... So first, I just wanted to go back a little bit on the presentation that is available on the folder MOOC 2 presentation. And you have presentation to the mission, I believe. MOOC presentation to missions. It's a PowerPoint. So I wanted
sure.
Okay. And after that,
okay. Yeah.
After that, you will have to go to MOOC 2 preload validation, and you will have two files: demo C0125 preload validation.
Yeah, I downloaded those one. I got them.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to be going through two of these files. And first, we're going to start with the presentation. So Kaz is here, so we can start.
Can you say again, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you say again, please, where to access?
Okay. Do you have access to the WebEx? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your space.
Yeah, so you don't need because Unmogis didn't have a VC, so we asked them to go and download the file so they can follow. But if you have access to the VC, you don't need it. It's gonna go live on it. Okay. So Casimiro is there. Joe will be joining shortly. We can start. So before jumping into the preload validation for the next two load files that we're going to be reviewing today, I just wanted to get back to the initial presentation. We've had a WebEx last week where we presented the assets and the equipment file. We also discussed the purpose briefly of this mock exercise, and we were expecting to receive the sign-off for the assets yesterday. We've received from 17 missions, and we would like to thank you for that. We know that it has been a little bit difficult to organize this session and to be reactive in replying to your inquiries. So we understand as well that it's not easy from your side. However, we wanted to stress the importance and the criticality of receiving your sign-off. Because as we mentioned last week, all these subsequent activities depend on the sign-off. We've been through the mock exercise. It's a really a well-sequenced set of activities, and each one of them has a target deadline. And if it's delayed, it delays the overall mock exercise. So we want to make sure that first we are available. If you have any question, if you encounter any difficulties in validating your data, please reach out to us either by email or by phone so we can work together. But we really, really need you to provide the sign-off. I wanted as well to just highlight the fact that mock is a test. It is important for the mission to participate so you can familiarize yourself with the validation process, and it's mandatory as well that the mission complete at least one cycle of data validation before dress rehearsal. So it's a mean for you to get comfortable with the validation process, to provide us early feedback and early warnings on all the issues that we might have missed on our internal validation, and also to leverage your expertise on the field to check and validate things that are really important for your operations. So once again, please, for the 11th who have not provided the sign-off for asset, please do so. If you still have questions or issues with the file, reach out to us and we can have a call or discuss it after this meeting as well. So the purpose of today's meeting is to zoom and work specifically on inventory and warehouse management. Yesterday, we've uploaded to the site the equipment file. We expect the validation by tomorrow, Wednesday, COB. Yeah. Do you want to add something? Yes. So we will start now with the file inventory. Similarly to the asset and equipment load file, we're going to provide a spreadsheet, which is a report that summarizes the analysis that has been made, but has been automated, the control that we automated, along with the data extract that has all your holdings. So inventory load file is all the non-expendable and expendable that you have in stock. So as we mentioned again before on the previous meeting, we don't expect to have 100% of your holdings for Mach 2 for many reasons. First reason is that the mapping is still ongoing, both from the mission in terms of expendable and from data conversion team for non-expendable. So the target that we set is 70%. So all the mission will have missing records on the inventory. These are the records that we list in the tab inventory, not in load file. The purpose of this tab is to acknowledge and to make you aware that these records has not been provided into those files. For the reason I mentioned, not final, not fully mapped, or because you have not mapped those records or those storage bin to the Imoja storage bin, which is the delta that Casimiro is working on with you. So keep in mind that this is an exercise to go through the process. You won't have 100% of your data. If you have things that are still unclear, please reach out to us for additional information. So for this validation, we will provide this file with 5 tabs. The first tab is the total number of records we have in Galileo, the total value we have in Galileo, and the total number of records and value we will be sending to Imoja for Mach 2. You will see a gap. Most of the time it will be less data in the load file than you have in Galileo. In the second tab, we provide at the stock card level the quantity and the value, both in Imoja and in load file and in Galileo. This allows you to have an understanding of what are the stock cards that have not been fully mapped to be migrated to Imoja. Once again, it's for you to acknowledge. If you see something, for example, one stock card that has a quantity of 4 and only 2 of them has been mapped, this might be an issue because we map at the scorecard and item description level. So once it's mapped, we should have everything in the other quantity. Okay. So as I mentioned, we will list everything that has not been included into the load file. From what we get from the extract from BO that was frozen on February 28th. We have the list of controls that we're doing automatically as well. We verify for each record the unit of measure we have in Galileo compared to the one we have in Umoja. If it's not the same unit of measure, we verify that the conversion factor has been applied. For example, if you have meters and in Umoja it's roll, then we have to divide the quantity of volts by the unit of measure in Galileo, and we have to as well convert the moving average price and the value to reflect that conversion factor. We will validate that all inventory in stock that are non-expendable have a barcode, and that the barcode is unique across the mission. We will also verify that the quantity in Galileo is equal to the quantity in Umoja, and that quantity is greater than 0 for everything that is not used. So everything that is new or equipment or fixed asset must have a quantity greater than 0. Only used material, which is called old supply in Umoja, will be allowed to have quantity.
I'm sorry, may I interrupt you? May I interrupt
Sure,
you for a second, please? It's Nicola from Brindisi. Which quantity will be migrated? The one for item expendable property that are available, or the one with status in stock? Because there might be items committed under some vouchers or sets, for example, and actually some clarity on this. Please, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, and that's a very good question. So we migrate both the quantity in stock and the quantity that has been committed. You will see in the load file both quantity, in stock and committed.
Thanks. Thanks, appreciate it.
You're welcome. So as part of the control, we'll also control that for all the batch managed inventory, that we have a valid batch managed number and all the different attributes that are required by Umoja.
Sorry, Babacar, just one question. About
Yes.
this quantity in stock and committed. If you migrate the one in committed, do you migrate the voucher as well? Otherwise, how do you unblock the committed quantity? For me, it's not clear.
That's a good point.
So if you are migrating the quantity in stock and the quantity committed, and
Yes.
There's a voucher that is in the middle of something, and that one is not migrated, how do I release the committed one? It's not fine. If we can have an explanation on this one, because for me it's not clear.
Babacar, you want me
Yes, Luca?
to interject? Ciao Fabio e Nicola.
Hey, ciao.
The quantities that are in the load file are the quantity in stock, not the quantity available, but just the quantity in stock. So every voucher will be rolled back. I mean, will not be taken into consideration during the migration. So if you have an issue voucher that is pending, a work order that is pending and whatever, it is like that you have never started that action. So we are taking only the quantity that are in stock. So during the breakout period and during the ramp up, all the vouchers that are pending must be redone. So probably in the data validation you are bringing as well the available quantity, Babacar. But in the load file we have just one quantity, that is the quantity in stock.
Okay, then now it's clear, because I was wondering how we can then deal with this quantity. So if it's only the quantity stock and anything that was committed will not go, otherwise there's no the voucher then to refer to, then it's fine.
Yeah, no, only the quantity in stock. And this was already clarified during the workshop that you unfortunately were not attending, but yes.
Absolutely. Sorry, Gianluca, and I have another question about commitment under a set of bunches of items that are committed under a set. That's different than the voucher. Is there any clarification on that, or what will be migrated? Thanks.
Nicola, when you go in Galileo and you open the stock card, the quantity committed are always committed. So regardless if they are committed under a set or under a voucher, they are committed. So since the migration of sets is not in scope for the GDP, so they will be put in stock as for any other voucher.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Gianluca, we just want to clarify. You're talking about quantity in stock, right? And of course, we understand that, of course, you have quantity available, in stock available and in stock committed. So when you say quantity in stock, so you are actually confirming that it is those that are committed plus those that are available.
Yes, this is the definition of quantity in stock, yes.
Thank you very much. No, I just want to be thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Thank you, Gianluca, for confirming. It was true that the information we had was from Galileo, the quantity committed and available. So thank you for confirming that in the load file, we only have the quantity in stock.
One question from Unsmil, please.
Please go ahead.
Gianluca, this is Srilan from Unsmil. You mentioned about the committed one. If the committed one is a written off, write-off voucher, will it be put back to stock and then counted in as a stock?
Okay, if they are for the quantity under write-off, we have some issue that we are trying to sort it out, let's say, from the data migration point of view. So if the quantity are committed by a write-off case file, so it means that the write-off case file has not been approved by the DMS, these will be rolled back as well as the assets. If they are pending write-off, they will be rolled back. For quantities that are committed under write-off cases that have been already approved by the CMS and DMS, so it means that you don't have any more write-off cases, but you have the disposal case file. For these ones, we are trying to interject and to exclude these quantities.
Understood. Thanks.
You're welcome, Zilad.
Gianluca, do you hear me? I'm Fatime from UNMIC. We have an issue on committed expendables, that stock cards that we were unable to clean, to delete, or even close whatever linked document is involved with. And this ticket was sent to UNLV SD, but since then we didn't receive any feedback.
Okay, I will follow up on this because we had different meetings with the service desk, and they should, let's say, take care of all the requests coming from the mission for those expendables that are committed on the write-off voucher, let's say, from 3, 4, 5 years ago, because there was a bug in that year, well known as well from them. So, okay, I will take a note and then I will follow on with the service desk. And see, because I remember that Amit was already submitting some requests, and you were copying me, so I can follow up on this. And then I'll let you know.
They didn't complete the commitment.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I will proceed with the last tab, which is the detail of all your holdings. So similarly to all the load file, you will have the first part, which is the data that we have in the load file that will be loaded in Galileo, in Imoja. And on the second part is the information that we have in Galileo. Okay. So if you have additional question on the inventory, it will be...
hello, this is Unix base.
Yes.
Hello, Unix base.
Yes, please go ahead.
You know, I'm in the inventory file 125, but I don't see Unix base listed there in the summary of the...
Yeah. This is just a test file. This is not the actual file that we'll be using for the validation. So by COB tomorrow, we will be loading all the control files for inventory and warehouse management.
So I should just ignore this one.
Yes, you're gonna get one dedicated to unmortgaged.
Okay, thank you.
Babacar, sorry, in terms of load, how many data you need that we validate? Because in my opinion, I mean, the deadline that you're giving to us are very short. Something you still needs to be uploaded and we need to validate tomorrow. Another thing, so I really want to understand how these things works, because there are things that, I mean, I saw the other one for the other mission, most of the mission were in red, because the time given is very short. There are a lot of things that needs to be validated. So I don't know if the other mission agrees as well, but to me, it's the time is really short.
Yes, and I think most of them will agree with you. I'll let them speak. But the overall, the mark duration is 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, we saw it in the presentation, we have approximately, I think, 10 or 12 load files to be preload validated, loaded, post-load validated, and signed off. So Imoja team is leading this exercise, and we fought hard, but basically they gave us between 3 to 5 days in total to perform the validation. So what we're doing is we're taking 1 or 2 days to compare the data between Galileo and the load file, to create those reports and to upload the data. What we can do, if you want more time and if you want to do the control yourself, we can, as soon as the load file is ready, we can upload the raw data into the server, so you can start looking into it, and it gives you 5 days while we are processing the reports. We were trying to automate some of the controls, so what we'll be doing is just to review the controls that we've done and perform additional checks, but everything that can be automated, we try to do it on the background. But the timeline is very tight, and we acknowledge that 3 days and sometimes less due to some technical issues are quite challenging for the mission and for us as well. But for you, from the experience, I don't know if you 17 mission, managed to complete the exercise. Some of them very thorough review and very interesting feedbacks. So from your personal experience, what are the challenges that you are facing? How much time do you think you will need to perform it to be comfortable in the validation?
No, it all depends on how much data needs to be validated, and then review the data, because sometimes you just sign on something, say yes, I validated.
Yes.
Just the way that you go is not very deep, and you might need a deeper analysis. It's only that. Then at the end, it's going to be the mission that didn't validate well, and then Umoja wash their hands. It's not the proper way. Giving all it is to validate everything. It's...
Yes, so we need to put the cursor somewhere. I agree that it is the mission responsibility and accountability to validate and sign off on the data. Some mission has 60,000 records, so we know that it's a large and an important volume of information that has to be reviewed and validated. Now, if you want for request for some extra days, we can still negotiate. Something is important to keep in mind is that the timeline is quite short, because for validation of for the load of assets inventory, it has to be done during blackout period. So that's why we have a couple of days to do it. 1 week for 1 weekend for the load of assets, and 5 days for the load of inventory. So It's a compressed schedule, and it will be during blackout and Galileo freeze out. So this is why it's a little bit challenging. But we can work with you if there is anything we can do to help you, process the validation. We will work on it. But so far the calendar has been published, and yes, you have between 2 and 3 days per load file.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? So we've provided yesterday the equipment in use. You have until Wednesday to provide to validate it. The in stock will be provided on Friday, and you will have until the 12th to validate it. So by COB today, we will provide the C0125 inventory and the warehouse management, and you will have until Friday to validate it. Okay? For the inventory until Friday. So I will now go through the warehouse management file.
I have a question from UNMIS. Do we have, like we have it from the previous one for 0003, do we have anywhere checklist, what we're supposed to check?
Yes. So we were supposed to upload it yesterday.
I didn't see.
Yes. For inventory, you haven't received it yet. We're going to work on it with CAD and provide it. And for inventory and warehouse, we have as well a checklist, similar to what you had for assets.
Okay, thank you. That means it is in the same file folder what we was opening today for 136. Okay, that means for 136 you will have it. For 135 and 125 you will have it tomorrow.
For 136 you'll have it today, and from 125 and 206 you will have it by COB tonight.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So for the warehouse validation, the warehouse validation file has two components. The first one is everything that we have in inventory is replicated there. So we check consistency between the inventory and the warehouse in terms of quantity, items, and attributes. And you have a second part, which is the warehouse, the EOS part that you've been working very hard with CAS. So here you have a summary of the total number of records that we have in the load file, the record that has been properly mapped, both in terms of product ID and in terms of EOS. And here you have the detail for each stock card. You will have the Galileo warehouse and the Imoja warehouse and bins. So you will be able to compare or to see where your... Yes?
Sorry, it's Jose from Minusta. We cannot see the presentation if you have any on it.
Okay. Do you have the... Is it better now or you cannot see at all?
I cannot see at all.
Okay. Do you have access to Cosmos?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So if you open the file under Mock2 preload validation demo C0206.
Unfortunately, we don't have any computer right now, but it's fine. Keep going.
Okay. But we'll provide the information. Here we will have a file that just shows the mapping one-to-one between Imoja and Galileo. And we group it by stock card. Then you have, yes, on the next, all the records that has not been mapped, which we call delta, mapped because you don't have the EOS or we don't have a product ID assigned to it now. So it's up to you to review, to acknowledge. I think Sam Casimiro will be heavily working with you to close the gap in terms of EOS for the inactive warehouses. So if you have any question, you might be able to reply. And then we have a set of control that we're doing mainly for the Emoja purposes, to make sure that the storage bin doesn't have no longer than 10 digits, that we don't have any special character on the name, that all storage are associated to a valid combination of warehouse, storage bin, storage section. So all that are technical controls to allow us to validate the integrity of the data. Not two bins in the same warehouse, so those are not business validation, but really technical validation. Guys, any comments? So for the warehouse, it should be more straightforward, I think less time consuming for you. You just have to look and review those that are invalid or not active, fully mapped in terms of EOS. So it gives you an idea of what inventory you have there, and you are under the process of completing this work with him, with Casimir. Question on the warehouse management file?
I have a question from Unmic again. And this is, again, an issue that we identified during bin mapping. We had one same bin location that contains 10 stock cards on it. And in Umoja side, we had unique bin ID for each stock card. It means 10 bins were created against 10 stock cards that are in same bin, actually, physically. And this issue was addressed to you, Casimiro, then Gianluca, and others. This will be an issue when we go through validation of warehouse.
I don't recall the I don't recall the problem in having multiple stock cards in one bin. I'd have to go back to your specific Excel file. Unfortunately, with 29 missions, I don't recall.
Yes, true.
But if you want, we can take it separately if you find something.
I think that Gianluca came back with explanation that this occurs in other missions as well, not only UNMIC. I will try to find this communication and send to you. Maybe you can view it now and then. Because if we have this issue, then we will not be able to properly do validation.
I'd have to review the issue. I don't have a response.
Okay, thank you.
Questions from other? Oh. So we can extend the questions to the previous load file, whether equipment or assets as well, or overall on the mock exercise and validation process. If you have any concern, any remarks, anything that you would like us to discuss.
Yes, Brindisi, a question on the feedback that we get from you guys or the forms. We noted we've done only one actually, and we're doing the second one today, but we noted that there is no link what exactly we need to compare. So like on Friday we received Excel file, but no checklist. So only when we received checklist we could see what we have to compare. Then we had to guess. So can you somehow provide a clear link then what needs to be compared? If it's value on one side, that on the other side, this is actually the data, the field that we need to compare. The link between, because you have one terminology on the Moja side, one terminology on in Galileo. So just to make it clear for everybody, what actually exactly needs to be the mandatory data that we need to validate.
Okay. Thank you very much, Genevieve, for your question. When you say that you have not received any instruction for your meaning, you're talking about assets specifically? Because no,
we received them, but like today, okay, we got the deadline for tomorrow, but you're telling us now that you will provide us the checklist,
okay.
and Miss asked already so the same question was with the other exercise. we get partial information, and we don't know exactly what we have to do.
Yes, yes, I understand that, and this is a very valid remark. Moving forward, we will, like I said today, we will provide the files and the instruction. The instruction was supposed to be uploaded yesterday. We haven't got a chance to really review and finalize them. That's why we're a little bit delayed. So we understand if you are having some challenge in validating. Moving forward, we will make sure that for pre and post volute validation, the file will be accompanied by the instructions.
Yeah, so I assume then on that file we will also have the criteria used, because, for example, today what we received, unless we see clear criteria used to filter data, we cannot provide meaningful validation. If we don't know, on the other file that you sent last week, when we receive the checklist, then we see clearly in use active inventory only, okay? So it allows us to then validate the data against February universe, etc. What we receive today, we don't know what actually data is listed in your spreadsheet, so we cannot then provide meaningful, I would say, validation unless we talk about the same criteria, which status, whatever has been included, excluded, etc.
Yes, it will be provided. For equipment, what you have in the list is equipment in use. So we have two files, and it will be detailed on the instruction. Equipment in use is everything that is on loan or in use. You're going to have a separate file for equipment, which is equipment in stock. In the instruction, it will be mentioned. So you can have a clear list of what is included into the scope of the file and what are the validation steps to be performed.
Babakar, can you hear me from Minuska?
Yes, we can.
Babakar, you know that in the same time we are moving Corimex buildings, prefab structures in the real estate function location 2. In the same time we are moving all the equipments in these buildings, which called Corimex and or prefabricated structures, together with it, in the function location 2 and 3. And in the same time, we are validating something which is Galileo, and this Galileo is not updated, which is making a lot of difficulties for us to validate something because names are changing, everything is changing. We are in a process currently for us as in use, moving all this to function location 2, 3, and 4. So this is kind of becoming in between, which is giving us a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I understand, but the impact of the functional location should be only on the equipment assignment, or we're doing the EOS as well? No, it's only on equipment assignment that will be reflected the changes that are ongoing. Am I correct?
Well, you are telling us to validate now the equipment in use, right?
Yes.
Some of the equipment in use.
Yes.
Those equipment in use. For example, today I sent a list to this team in Brindisi that all these buildings, prefabricated structure, equipment, whatever, are going to be loaded as function location 2 and 3.
Yes.
What do I mean? They are in the same time we are changing names of those structures. We are changing whatever. Which is
February.
Yeah. So two things. First, we have the February snapshot. So equipment in use, you don't have the functional location there. You just have the quantity and additional information. For equipment assignment, this will have what you just described will have an impact on equipment assignment. And I know that Brindisi and Gianluca and Sam are working with the different mission to get all the prefab and to update the real estate part. So it might be impacted, but the latest change on functional location will be reflected on the load file for equipment in use.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Nope. Okay. So if you don't have any more questions, we will send in the next hour or so the instruction for equipment, and by COB the load files for inventory and warehouse along with the instruction. And once again, apologies for some delays on providing you some files or some instruction that makes the validation quite complicated and in a very short time.
Babakar,
so we'll start.
Another question.
Go ahead.
Yes, another question from Brindisi, just to clarify, because what we noticed immediately was the rounding figure. Rounding of decimals creates discrepancy, difference, yeah? And it's not consistent, so some records have 2 or some 3 digits. Do you consider this as a discrepancy? Because if we run through Excel formula, it will see that there is a difference, but the variance may be, cents. The problem is that on a larger scale, it can generate larger margin. So, like we had in the past, Casimiro, we recall auditors asking for $1.72 discrepancy due to rounding, but to prove this, do you consider this, or do you expect us to say there is a difference here or no? Because in reality, it's, the 2 or 3 decimals create a difference.
So I will let Gianluca reply to that. Gianluca, do you know what is the rounding that is applied for the transfer to SAP?
Sorry, Babagan?
For the rounding, UNLV had a question. They say that there are discrepancy because of the rounding, and I wanted to just clarify what is the rule in rounding the value from Galileo to Umoja. I think it's 2 digits after the number, but I want you to confirm.
It's 4 digits in Galileo and 2 digits in Umoja. So we are rounding each asset and each, let's say, stock card to the 2 digits. For the inventory, it is a little bit, or better, for expendable, it is a little bit easier because we are putting the total value directly. So let's say that the calculation of the average price is done directly by Umoja. So we can see to the post-load data validation the results.
Yeah.
But
so the question,
sorry.
The question from Galileo, from UNLB, was that because we're doing the rounding for large volumes and so on, it might be, you say for expendable, we do the total value, but for all the assets and based on the number of records, it might create some discrepancy in terms of total value of equipment of, euros or some cents. So,
this is math, but at least for fixed assets, we will be dealing with the account division and the Umoja finance team, because for sure the financial statement has to be perfect, reconciled at the cents level. So it may be some error if we are going to, or some discrepancy, we are going to calculate the total estimation of the inventory, but from the financial point of view, we will not have this kind of discrepancies. This is one of the mandatory, let's say, constraints that Umoja has to, let's say, to go live. So if we not reconcile the financial statement at the single cent, we will not go live. This is for sure.
How can we do that? If we round 2 digits, okay, we will take. Maybe we can discuss it during the mock meeting with the accounting team to see what would be the impact of the rounding and whether or not it should be considered as a discrepancy in terms of preload. But if we have only 2 digits in Umoja, I don't see a way around. But I will clearly have an answer from them for you, UNLV.
Okay, so we will be providing then this as a difference, and you will decide.
Okay.
We will make a note that it's due to rounding.
Yes.
Then you will see exactly which record is affected. Because in some cases there is no difference because the third decimal is 0 in both.
Yes.
But if it's not 0, then it generates an error. Okay. Or
yes.
Not an error, discrepancy, difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? So thank you very much for your time today, and we'll be exchanging. So for those who still experience issues with the assets validation, please send us an email or give us a call or stay on the line so we can review what are blocking the sign off. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
tell me the VTC.
Yes.
Was okay, huh?
Yes, was okay. Yes.
So you understand.
Yeah. I understand.
Because you don't have email, I could not send you.
No, okay,
I cannot send you this.
But the presentation, I think I can get from here.
Yeah,
It's in Cosmos.
Yeah, it's in Cosmos. Yes, Cosmos.
You
have access to Cosmos?
Yes.
So we have Italian also.
So it's clear. They are going to move everything. Stock quantity available for everything. Yes.
No, we have it there. Yeah.
Okay.
Then they will tell us today we have the equipment. I want you to work with Julia.
Okay, yes,
to Galileo.
exactly.
And then if you have business, then I will send you or can give you a USB. This list of equipment in use or in loan.
Okay.
So you just go through Galileo and just randomly check.
Okay, I will check. Just need to validate it for that, right?
Yeah. I don't think the only there is one barcode we need to fix.
How are you, Sri Lal?
Hi, anybody that's still there, do we have any questions? Or
Yeah, we're just talking amongst ourselves.
yes, I didn't know if anybody have any questions that are still on the line?
I have another
I think
meeting.
that's Unmic. Any questions or
So
maybe Minerso?
And I didn't understand Gianluca's response either.
All right, if there's no questions, we're just going to hang up then, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thanks.
yeah.
I wrote to them, finished, nobody responds. They said 2 hours. It lasted only 15 minutes, even less. They said from 2 to 4, but now I don't know nothing. How in the middle we know these people Shugab, VTC is finished or no? Tunis.
Hello? Is he there with us? Is there anyone with us? Hello? Hello?